Hey, it's Don, the auction professor here today. I wanted to address something that's been asked of me a ton of times, something that I've looked into myself that bugs me. It's a big problem with me personally with something eBay allows to happen. It's the bombing of ads and stuff for penny auctions, 5-cent auctions, 6-cent auctions, all these real cheap auctions that come in from overseas. And I'm not trying to pick on any specific company or anything. I'm just going to show you some today, and we're going to discuss what's going on with it. You know, what possibly could be done with it, I don't know, because we don't control the policies with eBay. But in general, there's tons of companies who list items. They may have 5, 6, 7, 8 different eBay sites as well, and they'll list the same items over and over and over again on many different sites. And you'll see stuff selling for a penny and always wonder, how can they do that with free shipping? I picked one area because it's something that's still a viable wholesale area if you get the right niches on it. For those in my Patreon group, obviously I've discussed some of that too, but this one here is stickers. There's a lot of money to be made in stickers. Let's just go over real quick on wholesale in general. With wholesale, you're not going to make a ton of money per item. Your return on your investment's not going to be huge. Like in a grocery store or something, let's say, they only may get 3% or so profit return on it. So it's not real high. It's a few pennies. So when you do wholesale, you're looking at quantity of sales. So how many sales can you get of that? So if you only get like a 2-cent profit, that's nothing. But if you're selling 1 million of them, then that's the difference. So on some of the items like that, that's part of the philosophy you have to look at. With these sellers here in the sticker category, for example, there's over 1 million stickers here across eBay from the last 90 days. So let's say, you know, this is a 90-day period, these comp searches here. So there's roughly 333,000 ended sold. Now these are just sold, as you see, sold sticker listings, which is a pretty high, decent amount. So that's 333,000 sold sticker listings per month for the last 90 days. So that's a pretty good category. There's twice that up that didn't sell from what I see too. So it's like a 50% sell-through rate for the category. This is another way you can look at looking up something for wholesale, mind you. There's more to it than just doing this. I'm only going after the aspect of these penny listings. Now, here's just a couple examples. And I'm going to show you what page I am on in just a second here of how many of these listings there are. So this is a 6-cent sticker sheet, cheap cartoon kindergarten teacher rewards from China. And I'm not picking on any specific country because you can't nail it down to one country. There are other countries that do it. I've picked a couple of them in here too. So it's not just one country. You can't pick on one country. There are good sellers that have high ratings on eBay from these same countries that supply the product at this price. So, you know, there's a give and take on what we do, and they do the same thing as well. And I'm not condoning this at all. I don't agree with the way the postage is at all in any way, shape, or form. They've got the biggest competitive advantage over us because they can send basically first-class mail for a couple cents. So anyway, this is just one of the pages, and I'm going to pop down to the bottom here and show you what page number I am on this right here. Hang on a second, because this is 200 listings that have all ended, and I am on, in just a second here, I am actually right now on page 29. So there's 28 pages of 200 each listings for less than 6 cents. And this goes on, this madness just goes on and on and on and on and on. In some of these categories I've looked at, and besides stickers, I've looked into other areas that I do wholesale and trying to get some niches, and I find similar results. There are some categories that they haven't done this to, but on listings like this, sometimes it could be 20, 30, 40, 50% of all sold item listings are in the pennies category. So, you know, it drives me crazy. I've looked into this. I don't know how many dozens of questions I've had on this. This is probably one of the top 5 questions I get. How the heck can they do this? How are they staying in business? Well, these are big companies that are doing this. These are probably manufacturers. There's no other way around it. The cost of printing stuff like these sticker sheets is nothing. I mean, it could be 2 cents. So if they sell it for 6 cents, a penny to eBay, a penny helps offset their shipping, so they may be losing 2 or 3 cents on some of these items when they ship them that way. Maybe. Who knows what their deal is? They might have a bulk listing policy with eBay in China. For those of you who don't know, in the UK and England, they have a one price. I think it was like $650, one of the sellers told me. And you can list as many items as you want for that $650. It's not available in every country. I don't know what the process and what's allowed in China's eBay platform, how they work it out, how it works to going to here. For all we know, this may be eBay allowing this to happen. I don't know, and I'm not going to say I know that answer there. But the point is they're listing all of these listings. It goes on forever. Just on the first, let's see, what page did I flip to right now? I popped ahead still, and we're on page, hang on, 34 right now, and it's still 6 cents or less. That's over 5,000 of those 333,000 listings that are pennies a piece. And I can keep going to like page 100 or something if I'm not mistaken. I've done this before. I've looked these same things up over and over again. Again, because you got to do your research when you're getting into wholesale and trying to figure out the best venue, where to buy it, what's going to get you a return on investment. And this is what's killed it. 5 years ago, this wasn't the issue, and I could sell stuff in this category almost exclusively without having any competition. Because I did have some connections with printers because we do artwork. So, and I had a good eye for what would and wouldn't sell. So I had an insight on this. But I've looked at this exclusively here. We're going to look at some of these listings here. I'm not going to call out any specifics. This one's from another country. It's not China, Kazakhstan. So, I mean, it's the same basic principle. One sheet nail art stickers. They don't have to be bagged. You know, this is just a perfect example. And I'm going to look at feedback and all so we can see if, say, he's not fulfilling them. Overall, it's still a decent feedback for how many things he's got up. I can look at tons of these and come up with the same results, basically. Never received on some of these. Cheap, cheap, cheap stuff. What do you expect? You know, it's just a typical example, but he's still selling them. The first thing I thought was that it was them not fulfilling them and just not worrying about the small ones. That's not the case. Probably half of the ones that are selling the penny ones or in that range are fulfilling them at that half price. So, you know, I've got an answer for this. We're going to go over just a little bit, and I'm going to tell you what I've come to the conclusion being on this. They sell a ton of stuff. That's the key here. This person has almost 6,000 listings up. And each one of these listings, he could have 1,000 of each one up. You know, 1,000 of those items. You could have 10,000 of those items. So, you know, it's quantity that these people do. So let's say he sells 1,000 stickers at 6 cents and he ships them out. He may lose a couple cents. It may be a $20 loss, a $30, $40, $50 loss in shipping, but he's selling another 20,000 items that are making him $10 an item. So it's not a loss for these folks that are doing this. You've got to look at the big picture. Yeah, they're killing my category, stickers, or whatever category I'm looking at. This is the reason it's very selective on what we do for wholesale, and I don't give out too much information, because this is what happens to your category when you give out information and then somebody else bombs it with their items. So that's what I worry about. It's a volume game. That's how they can afford to do it. Like this item here. They may spend 30 cents to ship it. It may only cost them 50 cents to make it. eBay fees 20 cents. They might only be making $1 each profit on some of these items, but if you're selling, you know, 10,000 of these things a month or 20,000 of these things a week or whatever the case may be across many different sites, you're making a profit. It's the same basic principle that I do with long tail items, where I let stuff run and stuff, and I semi-control the market in some items that way. They're doing the same thing, but in mass quantities across the board and opening up all these other accounts and doing this. So there's no real way I can fight it. There's no real way other than avoiding the categories that they do this, or at least the items in the category. So one after one, I've checked out, you know, their feedback here. You know, it's not all the case of them not fulfilling them. Their same basic principle on anything you see, a penny roll of this stuff. There's no way it's that cheap. They're small rolls, though, what this item is here. So, you know, for them selling it for a penny, they may lose a couple $100 a month doing these listings, but they're gaining tens of thousands of dollars from all the other items that they're selling. Once they realize they're not making the money back on it, or maybe it's product they bought at an auction themselves, or it's damaged product that they produced for somebody else and the person didn't accept it because of condition. You may be getting second runs or whatever the case may be. The point is it's flooding our market across the board. Some of them do have okay feedback. This one's not good, 96.6. Again, I'm not calling out any specific. These are open, you know, accounts. Anybody can check for themselves. Here's another person's account that same one we just looked at, he's got 2,600 items up, and there's tens of thousands of these items, you know, of each individual item. He's got thousands of stuff up here, so he's not losing much at all. He's selling enough. So it's a numbers game, as I said. So if they sell 100,000 items, 20,000 of the items aren't making him any money. The other 80,000 items could be making him a ton of money. So this stuff could just be thrown away. Again, as I said, it could be overruns from other purchases that people just didn't want. It could be secondary products, misruns, whatever the case may be. That's how they can afford to do this. You know, they're making all their money off the other stuff. When they run through the stock and this stuff and they can't sell it, then they don't sell it again. They'll sell something else, or their account's going to get kicked and banned off because they're not fulfilling, or the conditions crap, basically. So they'll just move on to another item. The stickers is a good example here. It's one that I sell, and there's hundreds of pages of penny stickers up there, all from China. Flooded the market. Totally killed an area that I was able to sell in at some point. I do still sell in stickers, though, but it's very selective. There's only certain kinds that still sell. But as you can see, they just go on and on and on. And they advertise across themselves. There's just a ton of these here. All legit sites, they look like. You know, there's just a ton of this stuff flooded the market. And it's not just this category. I could go over any category you want and find similar aspects of it here. Here's another one. He has 8,600 items up. Some of them he's selling 46 on these for 99 cents, and then he could probably blow them out at the end. So let's take, for example, these 6 sheets of children's stickers here. 99 cents. You have to look at the big picture here when he's doing it. He can purchase it out. He's got special rates if you buy more. Buy 4 more, you can get it cheaper. So he's got all these little package deals you can get. These 6 sheets may only cost him maybe 10 cents to print the entire thing. It may be an extra 5 cents to ship them, so 15 cents, maybe 30 cents at the most. So he might be making 60 cents, 50 cents, somewhere in that range, but he's selling tens of thousands of these possibly. You know, across many sites. He could be selling to other people, and they're trying to sell them as well. You know, it's a big game with this whole aspect of it here. He sold 46 in this the certain length from this one listing. Who knows how long these listings are running. His fees are low. His shipping's low. So he's still making money at this price. Even this is still in the dollar or less category. So this is just one example. His feedback's still in the decent range, 99.6, so he has no issues with fulfillment. You know, he's fulfilling these at that price. And this is one of the other ones that sells the penny stickers as well. And you can see they're not terrible feedback considering the amount of stuff that he's selling, and it's from China. He's been on for a couple of years, so, you know, these are legitimate people. And this one, as I said, is one selling 6, 5, 4, 3 cent stickers as well. You know, you can just keep looking at these and run into the same issues. You can see them even like in the doll category. Now, I've talked about these resin doll kits and stuff. He's getting 90 bucks. He sold 12. You know, and these are all mass produced. They dress them up and they sell them in another way. Here's the same basic doll again, 98 bucks. You know, these are all things that are pennies to get. So let's say like this one here. Even on the higher dollar item stuff. This is why I can't compete in some areas like plush. For a 13-inch Pokemon shipped for, you know, $6 basically to your house, that's pretty cheap. Maybe costs $1.50 to make or less. Maybe $1 something in shipping. You're paying for the shipping, so they're still making $2 or so for the Pokemon, and then they're selling tens of thousands of these things. So it's the same principle. Here you go with the 1 centers again. These are all sold listings at that price, and then he sells them in bulk. So his profit margin outweighs the loss from these small stickers. Most people don't realize that's the case because they only got a few hundred items up. They can't fathom why someone would list 1 cent listings. You know, back in the day when eBay started, the biggest thing everybody used to do is 1 cent and 99 cent auctions, because then they just go mad. But you can't do that anymore. This is a perfect example of why I would never do that. Never list an item for less than you actually want to get out of it. So, and if it doesn't sell for that price, then you got to worry about it. But don't start them off at 99 cents or a penny. Obviously, you see that this model does work for somebody. Just because it's not a model that it would work for you, you've got to think outside the box and stuff like this. And again, I am not condoning this in any way, shape, or form. This hurts my business when I see stuff like this because it just limits things that I can and can't sell. So again, I do have a problem with this all around in every way, shape, or form. I wish eBay could fix it in some way, shape, or form. They are doing some of the drop shipping to get rid of it. So, you know, hopefully it'll help and clear this stuff up so I could sell again in some categories like this where there used to be a profit margin in these. And in the day, you know, you could make $1.50 for a sticker sheet. and you could sell, you know, 1,000 of them in a month or so, depending on the sticker sheet at the right price. So, you know, this is just why it's killed so many people across the board. Again, I'm just picking one specific item. We could be talking about any item and have the same results. Now, here's one example of somebody who is not shipping these out. Now, it's over and over and over and over and over again. So he ships out the ones that he sells that sell for a good price, and then the ones that are a penny or less, he just doesn't ship them out. If he gets dinged, he gets dinged. He's been on for 2 years as well, too. So, you know, he should be technically kicked off in my book, but he's got volume heading into his business the way it looks. So, you know, maybe he's got a leeway. Maybe it just happened. Not the issue here. The issue is that some don't ship out, as I said. But the majority of what I see, over half, do ship out the items at that cost. And they just eat it off or write it off as cost of doing business because they're making the money on other items. That's why they can do it. It's bad. It hurts us. It's foreign competition that shouldn't be allowed. I know they're trying to stop it. The current administration is trying to stop the foreign shipments to come in that way. They should be held accountable just like any other country and be held to the same standards where they actually have to pay a reasonable rate for shipping. So, you know, back in the day it was different. Now it's not. They're crushing us on these things. This person's feedback's not terrible for what he has up. So, you know, some of the item issues here just seem like cheapos and knockoffs. So, you know, let's just look at one more just to give you a little more. Here's another example here. He's got 23,000 items. This is the penny guy, one of the penny ones here. Now, one thing you got to be careful on. I know people say, you know, I see people using the exact same title, and you're telling me I can't, even though I see people doing it. These listings here are not the same listings at all. Now, you can use everything except one little number or something the same on a listing, but you cannot use the identically same listing. I'm just going to show you this real quick. We'll just open up two and you'll see what I mean. I see this, and that's where people get confused and why people think they can use the same listing title for a bunch of stuff. Look at the numbers here. The last digits are 1469. And then on this other one, it's 1096. So he's just changing a couple numbers. The title itself is almost identical. All you have to do is add a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6, and it's a different title. Move a space, put a dot or a period somewhere where, you know, you didn't have one before. That's all it takes to change the title and still have basically the exact same title, and you still want it to be searchable. This guy's got 23,000 listings. A large chunk of them are cheap pennies and stuff. He's making all of his money from the fast flips, the higher dollar stuff, so, you know, it's quantity again. His feedback is low, too. Again, drop shipping, that's what happens. Even if he's a factory doing this, you know, it's that type of issue that's going to affect him, is his feedback. And then they'll just start another page and do it all over again with a new address and a new everything else. So, you know, I don't know what to do about it. If anybody else has suggestions or want to complain to eBay about it, be my guest. I've said my share about this as well, too, so nothing I can do about it. It hurts my categories, as I said. I do not condone it. It's one of my biggest complaints on stuff like this. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.